So,
Yeah, and
all
always.
right, we are live. Finally, this is as with everything, my friend. You know that this is Earth School, so we always have the ability to have good information to be able to practice what we're out there teaching, right? So here we are. We figured it out. Every opportunity with the challenge is just simply an opportunity for more attention in a specific area for a solution. So here we go. We figured out the solution.
A day without tech issues, I've not experienced one of those.
I know, really. I'm just figuring this out myself. All right. So this is an awesome topic, right? Because we're in the middle of a season where there's a lot of push and pull. There's a lot of reconciliation going on, but there's also a lot of reunions going on and opportunity for some junk in our trunk to come back up and spin us into the need to be right, liked, and understood, which are three of the main fuels, the little slippery serpents that come in and really push a wedge between the people that we care about, in relationships. And I know you and I have had some discussions about that just in relationships in general, and even with past relationships that perhaps haven't turned out the way we thought they would. And yet the truth of the matter can be melted down, I think, it simply put, is if you want more love, be loving. If you want to see more kindness, practice kindness, more patience, practice patience, because in quantum physics, whatever you are working on inside literally drips into the energy you put out into the world and that which you attract unto yourself, right?
It's the reflection of what's going on in you. And I really think if everyone can just feel more about what's going on inside of them before you are, expressing these types of things, these behaviors. When I look back on the relationships that I've had through the years, and I think about a lot, especially in the younger years, but that takes still another 20 years of good relationships to really sort of figure it out, that there is always something that was being triggered in you that made you be a certain way, which made someone else treat you a different way. So it's really like up-leveling our lives and looking within is actually the first step, I believe. It's like, what's going on in here?
Exactly. We always have to watch our internal opportunity for adjustment, because truly, I've heard this before, that those who push our buttons are our greatest teachers, because they reveal where we're stuck. It really is a mirror when I'm pushed or spun by the behavior of another human being, and it can simply be an intonation. It can be a human being that we've had great conversation with before in the past, but simply because they're either hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And lonely, I mean also including those times when you feel misunderstood, overlooked, isolated. Those are all expressions of loneliness that can evoke a less than presentation of the person that we're committed to being in this world. So I think it's important what you're saying, that we are created to move from the inside out versus the outside in, and to do high noticing. So perhaps that's the invitation today, simply moving forward into this week, high noticing on those things that literally flare you up in the ring. I remember in Taekwondo, the big thing was to remain in your heart so that you wouldn't lose technique. And so what happens when we shoot to our heads, our brains shrink and we're isolated in that primal brain. And therefore we become, kicking, punching, and screaming our way into the place of territory. And that's another thing to talk about is territory. We get very territorial about needing to be understood, right, liked, perceived in a positive light. Frustration comes when the majority of the frustration that we experience in life is when life doesn't turn up the way we want it to, or particularly in relationships, when people aren't responding to us the way that we expect they should respond to us, right?
Well,
get on the highway.
Yeah, we're pretending to be the director of this movie, but we haven't told the actors what to do.
Exactly.
So they're getting it all wrong, and we're like, well, that's not how it's supposed
Yeah,
to
we didn't
go.
give them their script, right? We didn't give them their script, so they're just ad-libbing as they move on. So, this is just a powerful reminder this week for all of us, and anything that we're teaching. Amy and I are real boots on the ground teachers. We're teaching from the trenches of our own experience. And in fact, the topics that come up, we kind of throw out to each other. It really comes from our own experiences as we're moving through this Earth School. Which provides plenty of opportunity to practice what we're teaching. So just moving to some specificity around to the purpose for today's lesson or invitation. Really, it's an invitation for high noticing in specific areas. I've been watching a lot of football lately, so I don't know if you're a football fan as I am, but I've been really into the Broncos. I live in Denver, and so I've been watching a lot of the yellow flags that are thrown and the face mask moves that happen. And so these are all illegal moves, and there's penalties as a result of the illegal moves. Every structure that requires positive momentum has specific penalties in line in order to be able to keep the game moving in a positive direction, as well as to create the space for good connectivity and moving toward the goals, more goal and forward progress toward getting the touchdown in life. Now, we all want those touchdowns in our relationships that we care about. So here are some illegal moves that we have that we're going to present this morning. So the first one is actually one that I've talked about before, Amy, but I know that you're familiar with this because we talked about it over a year ago, and that is one of the universal quantifiers. You always or never statements. This is a yellow flag move. Whenever I say you never listen to me, I instantly imprison my mind from being able to tune into any piece of information that contradicts that impoverished view of reality. So my response will often be, really? Never? Ever, ever, ever. I never listen to you. So this week, I just invite you to really tune into what universal quantifier statements are you imprisoning those people you care about in your life. You always do this. You never do this. Even if that's your one takeaway. I always encourage people just grab 1 to 3 takeaways because that's all the mind can handle within a 24-hour period of retention within any presentation. So what do you think about those universal quantifier statements, Amy? Do you ever use those?
Well, I'm certain that I have.
You never do this. You always do this. Nothing ever works out for me.
You. Well, yeah. Again, they're just not doing what we expect them to do, but what's with the expectations?
There you go.
I started to almost laugh out loud just now. You probably saw that in my face. I was trying to control myself because I pictured everybody going to Christmas through the holidays with a belt on with yellow flags where they could.
Yeah, I actually mentioned that. I put a flag. Throwing a yellow flag. Yeah. I literally wrote this article and I posted it to the beginning of it that you can check it out on laurenemiller.com. But it actually, I mentioned that that's a technique, and it's a fun technique within corporate teamwork, but the yellow flag throwing. Once you have your infrastructure in place and you've agreed upon the rules for effective connection, when somebody doesn't, it's a way to flip a very heavy mood into a lighthearted opportunity for observation.
It does turn, and then it's also something that, because we're so conditioned. We have certain habits. We've been conditioned our whole life just to sort of blurt out whatever it is that is a common statement to us that can be so offensive to other people. I really noticed the difference in this from growing up in South Louisiana, a certain culture, a certain demeanor, a certain way, a certain humor. Everybody's humor is different in different cultures in different parts of the country. So you can say something so offensive to someone that's very funny in Louisiana, but it's not so funny somewhere else. So there's a lot of miscommunication, things that, you might just say this crazy statement that is so offensive to someone else when you really didn't mean anything. So it's the communication that really needs to be there. And when we come to the table with a lot of defensiveness, like we're waiting for something, I mean, we really need to come, like you said at the very beginning of this, is in a very loving space always. So, just a little sidebar. Yesterday I went to a new business networking group that they are called the Heart of Business, because they're talking about coming in with a loving space instead of, let me get your card and call you and start hounding you for business.
Yeah. What do you got for me?
So it's sort of like walking into that networking group, you go in loving because that's the way it's set up. So our homes and everywhere else with our friends and family, we should be set up to walk in with love and to really,
I love that. Yeah.
When people are going through hard times, someone's getting divorced or whatever during holidays, and then everybody else wants to put their 2 cents in. I mean, those things can really cause big flares. So, let people work their things out for themselves unless they're asking you directly for some advice or an ear.
I think that's great advice. Waiting for the invitation versus dumping, and that brings us to another tip that's kind of a side note to the 3 illegal moves, and that being one, to listen to understand versus to be understood, because one of our basic desires is to be seen and valued. And so understanding that's an innate basic desire, to be able to offer that first, to rather than thinking about what can I get, think about what can I give to this situation? How can I bring the light of God into this situation through my words, thoughts, deeds, and actions? Really, how can I make God recognizable to the people that I've been entrusted to care for during this holiday season and beyond, and into the new year? But we have when we're from that lack and scarcity perspective, we have expectations, we have assumptions, we have a little infrastructure of requirements before we will deliver our love, or before we will deliver our sense of kindness. And it really holds back our natural state of being. Our God-given natural state of being is loving and compassionate. And so when we're bumped out of that core space, it's simply an invitation to ask, where am I forgetting that I'm safe, that I'm loved? Because we can't give what we're not accepting within. So it does flow from that inside out. So just for the interest of time, and there's so much to talk about this, and maybe we'll do a series on relationships within the new year. Right. Moving from the first illegal move is that of always and never statements. Watch your language. Watch out for those universal quantifying words that you use that literally imprison the people you love. Anytime you say you always, you never, it will block the brain's ability to tune into any behavior that would even give them a chance to contradict that negative action. Be specific. The other day when you did this, I felt this way. Don't generalize the information, because when you generalize the information, you literally shrink back the possibility for connection. You dilute it. Yellow flag, big yellow flag. So that's an illegal move on the field of relationships. The second illegal move on the field of relationships that results oftentimes in ugly talk pretty quickly is upping the ante. And basically another way to reframe that is simply shifting the focus. When I come to you with something that is a concern or something that has flared me up, first and foremost, if I'm coming to you, it is not our nature to step into conflict or to be vulnerable. So many times people hold in, restrict information that is very valuable to continue a positive connection forward because of fear of rejection. And so they'll stuff until something explodes, until they turn green, like we talked about on another blab, the Incredible Hulk transition moments. And so to be able to have that open flow of communication and speak about the flow of that, or the infrastructure, just as the game of football, same thing. They have that structure on the field so that even, I'm sure the guy that does the face mask move didn't go out saying, I'm going to face mask this dude. In the heat of the moment, he's freaking grabbing to hold back because he desperately wants that ultimate goal. So if our ultimate goal is positive connection with the people we care about, then we got to really have that high noticing around our emotional state and understanding it will render us in this autopilot reactive defensive response. Upping the ante is one of them. Definitely yellow flag, illegal move. It looks like this, upping the ante. You come to me and say, hey, when you said this the other day, I felt this way. Upping the ante response would be, well, when you did this the day before, I felt this way. So instantly I negate any value in what you're bringing to me, which if I'm really awake, I will be able to lean into my God-given natural state of being, which is the compassionate space. And I will say to you, wow, that takes a lot of courage to bring up something that isn't a positive compliment or a note. It takes a lot of courage to step up and say, this is my truth. Right. To take a deep breath and speak it. So by me coming back at you and saying, well, when you did this, and I'm totally guilty of this. I've had tons of yellow flags. And so to really be aware of when you are upping the ante, huge illegal move. Any experience with upping the ante, Amy?
Well, of course. I'm telling you what, flags everywhere through the years. Yeah. I have seriously gotten to the point where it is, when I learned how to say to someone when they said something to me like that, when you say, then I would say, when you say that makes me feel, then no one can get mad at you for how you feel. And you're saying that makes me feel, so it puts it on self so that they can't really come in with the extra jab.
It dilutes reactive behavior for sure. When you say this, I feel that template of speech dilutes the flare up, the Animal Planet response.
And why are we so afraid of saying how we feel?
Yeah, very good question.
It just doesn't make sense because it just solves so many things. Well, if that's how you feel, then I won't say that to you in this way anymore, and you're done instead of a week worth of fights.
Exactly.
That keep going deeper and deeper into something else because there's all this, shelved stuff over here.
And then people go green. Then you go green. Then it's like,
I've got a big book over here, and it's like,
I got this, I got that, you did this. Yeah, and that's the illegal behavior that literally ransacks the relationships we care about. Yeah. And I think the key thing too, Amy, here is really preparation. When we're not flared up, when we're not on the field, just as the football teams and the players understand the rules of the game, and it definitely serves us well to consider the rules of the game. And game might be making lighthearted of the heart of a very heartfelt experience, which relationships are. However, we can learn from that kind of structure because any effective system. Any effective organization has effective systems in place with detail. It's important to talk about those systems beforehand when you're not flared up. That's another technique in relationships to be able to flatline those Animal Planet moments that we seem to have. Here's a quick technique that if you can apply this with somebody that you care about. Basically, once a week with your significant other, you can sit down and you basically share an affirmation. You share an affirmation, and then you each take turns sharing an opportunity for growth. And it's really an opportunity for connection. However you want to word it, use your own words, because words are labels that we choose to be able to define our life experience. So choose your labels because they're powerful. So whatever you want to call that exchange, basically it looks like this. You express something that flared you, something that spun you. And perhaps because of the heat of the moment, you stuffed it. It's important to literally weed out the weeds, a little prune for growth, so they don't start to slither into the interior castle and wreak havoc on the cellular level. which I know a lot about personally, going through advanced cancer and what stuffed emotions do to your body. So to simply have that kind of conversation once a week where you express that which flared you up, a specific situation, the other person, these are the rules, the other person cannot respond. The other person cannot respond for 20 to 30 minutes, because when somebody is expressing something that bumped them, that involves you, our initial innate response is reactive. It's literally like, all right, gloves on, or we'll implode, explode, we'll use ugly talk, stonewalling, defensive behavior. Everybody has their own little mechanism that they use when they feel under attack. That 20-minute to 30-minute window gives that person who you were caring about and wanting to share something that flared you up the time to get out of the primal brain. Because instantly when someone says, like if you called me up, Amy, and said, hey, Lauren, I noticed that you did this and you didn't include me and I felt overlooked. So instantly I will be hunting and gathering information to defend the accusation. So we're in court. So it's too often we are constantly in that defense mode. Well, I'm defending the accusation here. And so we're hunting and gathering information to throw back at you, and henceforth the illegal move of upping the ante. This technique simply allows the cool off time. So when you express that frustration, the other person has to wait 20 to 30 minutes before they can respond. 20 to 30 minutes before they can respond. That gives the body time to reboot, get into the executive thinking. This is our solution-based zone. This is where we want to hang out, because this is where our desire to connect with somebody that we love takes over, versus the reactive behavior, which leads to the yellow flags of ugly talk, defensive behavior, and stonewalling. So I see that you're definitely relating to this.
We need
not that I always practice this, but I'll tell you it's a good one.
flags and gags.
Yeah,
Nobody can break the 20-minute rule.
That's exactly what it is. It's flags and gags.
It really is so true. And also, I like to also warn about at this time of year, expectations. If you are hosting, you and your husband or significant other are hosting something at your house, and one person's a part of the party and the other person is doing all the work, there's going to be a problem.
Exactly. I assume and expect you're going to show up for me a certain way, and if not, you're going to know it.
My ex-husband was always attending our parties. He attended our parties. And I would
yes, you have life experience on that one. That's great.
Could you help out? Could you open the door for the guest and maybe get them a drink while I'm over here trying to do all this other stuff? I mean, it was so funny. It's funny looking back, but it wasn't so funny then. I used to be like, no.
Yeah, this is not working for me.
Not a guest.
Exactly. Yeah, well, that's key. And that's a really important point that you bring up there. Anytime that we walk into any situation in life, whether it be professionally or personally, with expectations and assumptions, we are setting ourselves up for internal turmoil. Anytime we have expectations and assumptions, our greatest place of life experience and life satisfaction exists when we are committed to practicing a space of curiosity and fascination. What can I learn from this? This is going to be a new situation. What can I walk away from? And when we're spun, I'll be talking to myself all day. When I'm spun into an Animal Planet zone, I'll say, hey, Lauren, what can you take from this to build godly character, to come back with your feet on the ground and committed to the person that you are committed to being, versus leaning into the spin out. It's a spin out. Spin out on the field, right?
Right. You know what I like about what you just said is I'm a very curious sort, and I think curiosity does make you.
Yeah.
But if you looked at your significant other as in curiosity, like, why did they say that? Maybe thinking instead of reacting, going, what is going on with them that they have said something negative or attacking me? Usually something wrong with themselves. Right? It's always within us.
Absolutely.
Because we didn't, the expectation wasn't met, what I thought you were going to say wasn't met. So we're kind of crushed, and when we get crushed, sometimes we lash out. So
Yep.
so
We do that when we're crushed.
sense of curiosity, which is such a great thing with Christmas time and kids being curious and wondering what they're going to get. This whole sense of wonder and curiosity, if we just carry that through the season.
Absolutely.
And if someone says something that we don't like, just be curious about why did they say that.
And even just keeping that that curiosity open. What can I learn from this? Or what is this? What opportunity lies in this situation? What is the opportunity and the gift in this situation that I can take from this? There's a gift and there's an opportunity. What is it in this situation? Even just posing that question versus, I can't believe they said that to me, or just that defensive inner self-talk, which often the intonation is not very uplifting and kind, will give us the lesson, and then we can move on and wipe the dust off our feet and move on in a positive direction. So just to summarize where we're at right now, we've shared 2 illegal moves, the yellow flag removes that are literally on the field of relationships. And I'm using the analogy of football, being that I'm really watching closely football these days. And so the third illegal move is one that perhaps many people can relate to. It's passive aggressive behavior, and specifically the passive aggressive antics that I'm talking about here come from not really having grounded understanding on what you are comfortable giving without resentment. Because too often, because of the disease to please and the drug of approval, we will give because we think we should, or because they gave to us, or they spent time with us, so we should spend time with them, or they bought us a big gift, we should buy them a big gift. We're shooting all over ourselves, literally, and it's just wreaking havoc on our ability to be able to create efficacious relationships with the people we care about, which is what we really want. I mean, let's get real here. What do we really want? We want to love and be loved. We want to experience moments of kindness and service and those things that really bring that life happiness and satisfaction. So passive aggressive behavior looks like this. Hey, do you want to go out? Let's go out tomorrow night with my friends. And you're exhausted. You've been busting it all week, and you really want a quiet night at home. But you say, because you think you should, sure, I'll go out with your friends. Then everything in your countenance contradicts your agreement to go out with their friends. There's feelings of resentment. Your body language doesn't show that you're fully present or want to give the gift. You're giving a gift with resentment, with closed fists. And this happens so much in relationships. Yes, I'll do it, but you're not on board. The simple solution to this is really stepping back from the requests from the people in your life and really resurrecting that inner alignment. What are you okay giving? Where can you, and Jesus spoke about this. When you give, don't give with resentment. Don't give with that sense of, decide what you want to give and give freely. The scriptures speak about that as well. So really decide what you want to give. Align that with your sense of the person you're committed to being, and then let your speech, the words you use and the boundaries you set clearly reflect what you're willing to give freely. Because the block comes when we push ourselves into that space where we think we should give, we should do more because they did for us. And then it ruins the entire evening, because here you are sitting in your earth suit, totally resentful, not even laughing at anybody's jokes. Your partner's aware of the fact that you don't even want to be out, but you feel like you should be out. And it gives that mixed message. That's that passive aggressive behavior that literally flatlines, yellow flag, illegal move in relationships. I'm totally guilty. I am
telling you what, we have all been in that situation, and it's horrible. And it's so much better just to say, you know what, you go, I'm going to stay here. And that might be a little bit of a flare up, but it's going to be not nearly as bad as what happens when you get home after having sat there
with resentment. I don't even want to be here. but I felt like I should because you said yes to what I did. These are all the antics in relationships that literally wreak havoc. And again, don't you agree that it's preparation? So having the systems in place for any successful organization or goal achievement requires healthy systems. The systems are set in place in football, not on the spot. They know that a face mask move is a yellow flag. There's no question. And so when we have that, and I suggest this in the article or the blog I recently posted, is to carry, can you imagine just carrying those yellow flags and having that agreement where you throw the yellow flag up, illegal move. You just flatlined me.
And I just see the person going, why? What did I do? Why the flag?
I know. Well,
actually, what I like about it is it would make them go, well, wait, what did I just say? I didn't mean, because again, it's these things that just blurt out because they're in our behavior patterns that have been created for so long that we don't even realize that we've just sort of insulted someone.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because it comes from, again, our own desperate, innate need for safety and connection. Do you see me? Do you understand me? And do I matter? And so we all have that innate desire to be valued. And any time that we're flared up, it means that there's literally been an energy leak punched into our system as a result of someone's illegal move. And so we take it that way versus, I mean, can you imagine if we were able to flip those flare-up moments after giving us that sense of cool down time? We need that cool down time to allow the brain to get out of the animal planet antics, which cause us to literally fight, flight, or freeze. But I like to refer to it as usually we ugly talk, stonewall, or we use negative behavior, implode, explode, both at the same time, or turn green. There's actually this T-shirt I was thinking about getting of the Incredible Hulk. So those days you feel flared up, how do you manage your anger? That's another topic. We can approach that. So we're coming to the end of our show today, Amy. Do you have any closing thoughts on relationships before I sum up what we talked about today on the illegal moves?
Well, I would say that I've got it made this Christmas because I'm really not in a relationship. So it's sort of like, well, I don't have to worry about the flare-ups. I can just be me.
I've staked my territory, man.
So that, no, I'm actually so good with that. So it's a great place in my life right now. I'm really happy. But, I really think just really, going out with love and really having, at least some thoughts ahead of time to just like, let's make this a nice day. Let's make this a nice evening. Yeah. And if someone does flare up, then, just don't react to it and talk to them about it later. So I just feel that we should just really be working on ourselves, because the more we work on ourselves, the easier this becomes, to not react and to not blurt out. So
yeah, that's exactly it. Blurting. I remember
blurting and blabbing.
When I was I did my postgrad in education, and I would have a sign, the blurt alert, that I would use with the little kids. Anytime that they were like blurting out and overriding other people, blurt alert. Which I'm so guilty of that. Oh my gosh. Totally guilty of the blurt alert. So I really appreciate too what you said about curiosity, having a curious and fascinated approach this holiday season. What can I learn? What is the gift? What is the opportunity in this flare up with this particular human being? And how can I serve? Again, as we started this whole blab up today, if you want more love, be loving. If you want more kindness, be kind. If you desire to experience more patience, practice patience. I remember praying for patience one time. Dear God, I want patience. Give it to me now. And I want it fast and quick. But yet the Earth School class for patience is actually pretty slow. So it takes some time, because it is after all the class in patience.
Right. And also this one other little factor, that there are a lot of people who have had flare-ups during holidays, so they sort of dread some holiday-ish things. So to really just, gloss over some things during the holidays if you can, without reacting back, because it's just other people's little triggers that are popping out. And if there is something deep in your relationship, like you said, just go back to the drawing board, set a time, get the gag out, get the flags out,
Yeah.
and discuss it, because it can really just be so simple to, start to work on this. And then knowing that when I say this to you, it really hurts your feelings. And so knowing, just don't go there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't.
Giving yourself those healthy boundaries, right? And then speaking about them ahead of time. So, well, I appreciate you, Amy. I appreciate all your wisdom and insight today on today's topic. And perhaps we will do a series on relationships. I feel that's important as well. Just to close out too, to sum up, we just covered 3 illegal moves in relationships you want to avoid with those people that you care about. The first one that we discussed is actually the universal quantifier statements. You always, you never. Watch out for those. Those will keep you trapped. So anytime that you're saying you never, you always, you instantly flatline the ability of that person to step outside of the prison of your words, meaning they have no chance to contradict that impoverished view or conclusion about them. Watch out for that. Be very specific when you want to confront somebody you care about. Very specific about exactly when it happened, how it made you feel. The second one was upping the ante, basically shifting the focus. When someone you love, someone you care about, whether it's professional, personal, and they're coming to share something with you, understand this first and foremost. It takes courage to bring up something that perhaps will be a statement that might produce conflict. It takes courage. So just as you would see the other person as you desire to be seen, just as if you were in that situation, you would like somebody to show you compassion and understanding. Listen to understand versus to be understood. Offer that same grace to those people, and watch out for shifting the focus, upping the ante. Well, when you did this last week, I felt this way. Instantly, you negate everything that they've said. So if you want to bring up a discrepancy, bring it up at another time. Don't use that time to dump back. Don't dump for dumping. That never, unkindness evokes unkindness. Anger evokes anger. Love evokes love. Kindness evokes kindness. And we get to choose our emotional state of being. And God has given us plenty of opportunities, as well as plenty of resources to choose love, because it's our natural state of being. The third one is passive-aggressive behavior. The passive-aggressive behavior looks like this. Sure, I'll go out with your friends, but you're exhausted and it doesn't align with what you're willing to give freely and in a loving way. So you're resentful the rest of the night and you punish the person that you said yes to. Yellow flags all across the board. So watch out for that. So as with any learning experience, what you're doing here is you're learning new information today. So taking 1 to 3 pieces of information, you're then reflecting on it. What works for you? Even if it's perhaps one thing that we mentioned today. So you take that one thing that works for you, you identify and adjust your behavior, because your desire is to integrate this new information into your life, which is the next step. After identifying, adjusting, you integrate it. How can I integrate this forward into my life? Write down your one action step, which is the 4th process of really good education, boots on the ground, and being able to apply it to your life experience. So thank you for joining us today, Amy. Thank you so much. This has been another great experience of sharing some tips from our own life and our own space and work in this world. And we look forward to next week. We never know what the topic's going to be, because it comes from our own life experience. So God bless you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. We just pray that you have a beautiful season with your family, and remember to choose love. The choice of your response will literally evoke the behavior of those people around you, and you're the gatekeeper. So thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. God bless.